This is a little bit of a bigger issue question. From the beginning of time, people want to connect spiritually. And they're always wanting to see a earthly or physical manifestation of that spirit. And yet, we, speaking for myself, and I think most of us feel frustrated at times, or at least believe at times that we just don't see it physically. You know, we see evidences, but we don't. But when we see what has happened with you and Jerry, and what has been brought here, why you, why now, why to us, and is there some of that availability to us as well?
Oh, certainly. There is so much that we want to give you about this because, first and most important, when you talk about this evidence of this, we want to tease you just a little bit and say, look around and behold your Earth spinning in its orbit. In other words, if that's not evidence of something extraordinary, we would not know where to point you. But then you say, but Abraham, we've become so accustomed to spinning in our orbit. We're so used to the sun coming up every morning. We are so accustomed to this stuff that is of a physical nature. You say, in fact, we have become so good at translating the vibration of spirit into physical reality through our eyes and ears and fingertips and through taste and smell. We are such good interpreters of vibration that we don't even recognize anymore that it's vibration. And now, please give us something that's different from what we're interpreting so that we can then understand that there's stuff that we're interpreting. And we say, the best thing for you to do is to pick something that is of importance to you, that you have very little resistance about, and activate it in your vibration, and watch what at first will feel like the miracle of its moving into your experience. And when it comes, applaud your conscious connection and the response of the universe. And as you start doing those things on purpose, deliberately thinking, deliberately feeling, deliberately managing your vibration, and then deliberately acknowledging the result of that, you begin to feel that. Esther every day loves looking at some clock or something that has numbers on it and seeing them line up for her. She celebrates 444 every single day. And as she is driving, she loves it when her trip meter that is telling her how far she has gone, in the moment that she looks at it, it will say the same thing as the mileage meter of where she is going. In other words, and she will say, imagine that somebody out there at exactly the midway point knew that this is the moment that I am at the dead center of my journey and said, look, Esther, and there it was. It happens every trip. Without her waiting for it, without her thinking about it, and she says, you guys are good. In other words, she acknowledges that. But as she looks at normal life experience and recognizes that normal life experience is the culmination of this energy that is source, sometimes she agrees with you. We've just gotten so used to the miracle of this life. We've gotten so used to the manifestation of all of this profound energy. You have to reach for those moments of insight. And what we've noticed, and this is the thing that is most significant answer to your question. When you ask for such a thing, you are usually in a place of doubt or questioning, which means in that moment of asking, it cannot appear right then and there. But then when you forget about it and you relax and it happens, then you don't notice the association between what you ask for and what happens. So you still don't think that you've gotten your answer because there was a time delay between when you asked for it and when you got it. And that's just the consequences of step one being step one and step three being step three. But even with all of that, you can consciously be aware of your miracles. But in the moment that you are consciously aware of your miracles, they are no longer miracles. They are just the fact of the way that it all works together. It's just the next logical step. Esther was not so much chosen as the spokesperson for Abraham as Jerry was the asker of endless questions. And Esther has seen herself for a long time before Abraham began flowing through her as a facilitator for Jerry. She worked for him. She was a secretary in his office. Anything that he wanted, she saw it as her responsibility to make it happen. She was sort of the actionary of things that he would think about. You have people like that in your own experience. And so as Esther was playing that role as being a facilitator or an allower, a sort of effective person who, with a heart of wanting to be of value, and Jerry was asking, Esther was the logical allower and Jerry was the logical asker. Now, what made them a particularly good team is that Jerry is a stronger than almost anyone you'll ever meet asker, and Esther was a stronger, almost more than you'll ever meet allower. In other words, they were a good combination because he really, 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 really wanted to know, and Esther really, really, really hadn't ever tried to know anything. In other words, she was happy living her life. She was happy living happily ever after. In other words, she had not formed all kinds of opinions that she was wanting to set forth her opinion. In other words, she was a sort of open allower. And so the thing that is troubling for most of you who are trying to play both of those roles is that you can't be the asker and the allower at the same moment. You can't ask from your place of contrast and be vibrationally in your place of allowing it, nor can Esther. Esther's not playing both roles right now. Esther's in the role of allowing, and you are in the role of asking. And so we think it's good for you to not ask that of yourself either. Let your life form the questions and then get into these habits of being in these trusting modes where you allow the energy to flow through, you see.
Good.
Yes. And yes, the answer to your question is yes. There is not one of you who cannot fully receive all that you are seeing here and more.
Good. Thank you so much.
Yes, indeed. Yes. Back row. Yes.